Trinity was giddy for days after her New Year's date with Reece. She replayed the kiss that they shared at midnight over and over in her head. It was quick, though not entirely innocent. All Reece did was press his lips to hers gently, and oh so briefly, but she felt like her entire body was on fire. And she knew he felt the same. She saw the same passionate fire in his eyes when he said goodnight. He wanted me. Trinity blushed. She wanted him too, more than anything. But there were a few questions that Trinity needed answers to before she could give in. Did he still hate her? Would he reject her? Would he ever love her? After all the excitement of the previous few days, Trinity slept in and had a late breakfast by herself. Her classes wouldn't start for another week, and she wasn't expecting her schedule to be too demanding since she'd be taking them remotely. So she made her way to Lila's room to ask for some advice on the packed daycare that she wanted to launch. "Come in," Lila called when Trinity knocked. "So, the Sleeping Beauty emerges," Lila joked. "I was worried you wouldn't wake for another 7 years. "I'm sorry," Trinity laughed. "I must have really needed the sleep." "Can I tell you a secret?" Lila lowered her voice. "I think my son loves an opportunity to carry you to bed." Trinity blushed. Lila was right. There was the time when Trinity had fallen asleep in the library, again when she was unconscious at Riley's pack house, and again when Trinity had almost drowned. She visualized Reece effortlessly carrying her in his strong arms. Oh, goddess. Trinity's face flushed a brighter red. Why am I just realizing this now? "Luna," Lila giggled. "Come back to me." "Sorry." Trinity shook herself out of her memories. "I must still be waking up." "No need to apologize. I understand better than anyone. It's funny." Lila gazed out the window. "This must have been the same position we were in when you called me back to you and Reece." "Wait, you remember that?" "Yes," Lila nodded. "Has anyone told you what happened?" Trinity shook her head. "I remember the night my husband died clearly," Lila began. It was difficult for her to recount even after so many years. "I remember going with him and a group of pack wolves, including my cousin Stephen, to sign a treaty between packs. There wasn't supposed to be a fight, but when we got there, we learned it was an ambush." Lila paused, fighting back tears. "I watched my husband die in front of me. Then I was hit in the head by something really hard. The next thing I knew, I was walking in the darkness. There was never any relief from that oblivion." Trinity exhaled. She couldn't imagine the amount of pain that Lila had held for so long. "I don't know what to call what happened to me. Most of the time, I was somewhere else entirely. But once in a while, I would hear things. I heard Reece's voice. He would tell me what was going on in his life. Sometimes he would talk about good things, his voice filled with pride. Other times he vented to me angrily. Often he would tell me what he couldn't tell others, his voice full of tears he probably never shed." Trinity squeezed her hand. Between the two of them, they cared about Reece more than anyone else in the world. They both hated to see him in pain. "But you know," Lila continued, "I remember your touch as well. I remember when I heard your voice. I felt someone touch my hand, and when I looked down at it, where there had only ever been darkness before, I saw a thin white line attached to my palm. It was the first thing I had seen in that darkness, ever." What was it? Trinity was breathless. It was you, Trinity. Tears silently flowed down Lila's cheeks. You guided me back. You wanted me to come save my son, and you took my hand and guided me home. I don't understand. Trinity shook her head. How could I do that? How could I guide you back? You're special, Trinity. Reece has told me so as well. He said how you're not like the others. Yeah, because I don't have a wolf. Not because I'm someone who can do anything amazing. Are you sure about that? Lila broke into a confident smile. I followed you, Trinity. When I came back, I knew your voice. You brought me home because you're special. So many memories were flooding back to her. The time in the woods when she could smell the warlocks and Reece couldn't. When she could see them and Reece couldn't. How she never got a wolf. All of the things that marked her as different from everyone else, they were all coming back to her at once. What am I, exactly? Where do I belong? Who am I? These were the questions that Trinity desperately wanted answered, but she was never likely to find out.
Want to know what happens next? Click on the link in the description below to watch further episodes of Chosen by Fate, Rejected by the Alpha.